Hello, friends. I hope you're doing really well. So this is something that I hear about 50% of the time in my nutrition and somatic coaching business is, Tracy, I thought we were going to learn to focus less on food, and I feel like I'm focusing on it just as much, if not more. And the truth is, that's actually true at the beginning. My name's Tracy Brown. I'm a somatic dietitian and a tune eating specialist, and we are going to talk about the inconvenient truth of if we are going to make peace with food and have food be less of a thing that feels anxiety provoking or compulsive or whatever, we are going to have to use some of our energy. So let me kind of go back to the beginning and reframe this a little bit. So in your dieting days, in your compulsive exercising days, in the time that it probably took, if you're in a binge or a purge cycle, you probably recognize that you did spend time researching low-calorie foods, recipes, when you would fit in the exercise that you thought you needed to burn off the calories, get the right body, whatever the issue was, is that that was time. That was time spent. I know I spent hours like perfecting and making these really elaborate meal plans, and I never missed a workout. So I spent, a couple hours a day doing the disordered things, let alone thinking about the disordered things I was going to do to either try to manage emotions or my weight, essentially. And so at the beginning of this process, I know it's frustrating when it's like, you love to just read the book, listen to the podcast, see me, and it's like, oh, this isn't quickly or magically, fixing all that thinking. And the truth is that I have found one of those effective ways for people to feel like they're getting some traction is to kind of surrender to the idea that we can't go back to the same kind of life and lifestyle that enabled some of the disordered thinking and behavior. So what I mean by that is an example. When I came home from treatment, I recognized that I can't just get out of bed and just kind of eat what's there. I really had to plan on okay, so I need to plan on how I'm going to be quote unquote successful with my meal plan. So that might mean planning ahead the night before. And it's important because I know sometimes we don't want to plan ahead. We don't want to think about it. We just want to eat normally. But the truth is I just wasn't there yet. And so I did have to plan a little bit of breakfast and snack and lunch and snack and dinner and snack. And I know it can feel like, ugh, I don't want to do this. So we might need some support for that. We might need someone to sit down with us and do some meal planning for a couple days or a week. It doesn't mean that you're required to do everything just so and exacting. Again, that's the mentality from the diet culture. It's more about here's my rough plan of what I think I might like for this day with the schedule. Whether you're a mom staying home with your kiddo, whether you are going to work 9 to 5, or a more flexible schedule. I know sometimes, you need to work, you need to do some stuff, but we can plan to get nourished versus it just being either a free-for-all, I don't know what to do, or it's, again, micromanaged. So you're going to need to use some energy, but we're going to use energy anyway, So it's like, why don't we plan to get nourished versus plan to restrict or rebel against all planning at all? And if you're noticing that those are your specific barriers, I highly encourage you, get in contact with me so we can see what those barriers are about, or take some time to journal. I find myself wanting to say, screw this, to any kind of planning. And, what part is that? And, maybe what's that in service of? Or just does it feel like it's too overwhelming to do myself and we need some more support? So that's a whole big example of how sometimes we're going to have the same energy anyway, but can we use that for getting our needs met? And that's what I really want you to think about to see if you can accomplish. All right, so one last thing I'll talk about energy is that because when you start this journey, you're going to have two paths. You've got the old, I want to use over or under eating, maybe consciously or unconsciously, to regulate my nervous system. Maybe you don't even know you're doing that, but that's what, like, the conscious part of you knows you're doing, or maybe some part of you inside is unconsciously doing that. So we want to bring that to the surface and to the front so you can make a choice about that and use self-care tools. Bring it to your counseling sessions, talk about it with me. And then, recognize that, you're going to have some state, you're trying to basically move around some of the fight or flight energy in your system. There's that. And then there's the diet culture part of things that it's just all around us. And I know it's hard to not do it. And so you're actively trying to use information you have, like the health delivery scientific information, your own life experiences that say, like, okay, food restriction, it might, bring me some like really temporary relief around feeling like, at least I'm doing something about this body size. But again, we're trying to get self-esteem through body change versus growing self-esteem. And so you're going to have like all these varying paths in your mind. I know that. And it's exhausting. So we just want to do the best we can in any moment we can and be really compassionate, because we're not going to always do the thing maybe we had set out to do. That's okay. It's really important that we give ourselves a break, knowing you're unwinding a lot of stuff. So I hope this video was helpful and encouraging, or maybe reinforces what you already know. But for me, I know personally, I needed to really, really, really surrender to the idea of like, I can't go back to doing what I used to do. And so that means that, like, if I used to spend all my time planning the perfect meal plan to restrict, I do need to spend some time planning to get myself nourished and then let it go and start to fill that time with other things. Stop saying no to invitations to do fun things. Instead of plugging all my time, if I have some extra time, with movement, do something that I've always thought I wanted to do, or maybe do something you're not for sure you're going to want to do, or that you don't even know you're going to like, and let it be okay that you're just learning. And that's 100% acceptable. We are trying to find our wholeness again. And, that takes time. It is going to feel weird, and it's going to feel time consuming or thought provoking. And you're just growing, you're becoming. So nothing's wrong. It just takes some time to get to that new way of being and living, not only with your food and your body and your movement, but just who you are. Because who you are isn't this diet thing, this body thing, this exercise thing. All right, thank you all so much for watching. If you felt like this was encouraging or edifying to you, please share it with people that might benefit. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.